Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well tonight. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Thank you, Grant, for coming on here. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Anytime.
Do you mind giving me a little bit of background about yourself? I don't know. I think I put in everything, but yeah, do you mind giving a little bit of background?
Yeah, sure. So we breed shrimp, mainly dwarf freshwater shrimp. We do have some opaula as well, but for the most part, everything is freshwater. We have some fish and some isopods and turtles and other things, but mainly we just focus on shrimp. We currently have around 230 tanks inside the house and 50
Dang.
ponds outside the house.
Wow.
And almost everything's all dedicated to shrimp. We got a few fish tanks here and there. Our swimming pool is converted into a koi and turtle pond.
Yes, I saw that. That's awesome. I
So
love
we
the pool.
and then we dabble a little bit in aquascaping and just anything basically wild and growing and aquatic.
All right. Well, let me get the hellos out of the way because I think everybody's starting to come in. Hello, Alien World Aquatics. Bateson. Hope you are doing well. Adele. Dennis. Freaky Fish Lady. Lumpy Dog. Mississippi Hippie. MLT Plants. Lori. Hello. Patty. Hello. Paul. Richard. Scott. Scuba Steve. Val, and Visine. Hope you all are doing well. Let's see.
Oh, now it works.
Scuba Steve. Uh, yeah, I don't know why. Hey, new local Austin. Hope you're well. How long have you been keeping aquariums for?
Like 24 years, 25 years. I'm 30 years old and I probably had my first aquarium when I was like 5 or 6.
Okay, nice. And what got you into it? Your parents had one, or
We had cats when I was younger, and we go to the pet store to buy cat food, and I always wanted everything besides a cat. So my first aquarium was a dwarf frog with 6 neon tetras,
oh wow,
and uh, right away I was horrified because the frog started eating the neon tetras.
yeah,
So
I'm not that surprised. That part I'm not all that surprised.
one tank turned into 2 tanks, and I always kept something on the side until like high school, and then I kind of didn't have much except for my dog, and then I met Shelby, and she had aquatics, and I started to jump
Oh,
on the
nice.
train as well.
Okay, so then I take it she also enjoys the tanks. So are they?
Yeah.
So then, which ones are hers and which ones are yours? Do you guys have them
Uh,
separated, or are they all just you guys all just?
we have a bunch of tanks that are like family tanks because we got the 2 kids as well. So like Jaden has a few of his fish mixed in with some of hers and Layla's as well. But she
Okay,
has her own like shrimp tanks where she's working on her own galaxies and tigers and stuff like that. And then
okay.
I have my own project tanks where she knows like she doesn't go catch any shrimp out of those tanks or anything ever in that tank. So, but we have tanks that we share together, and we both have our own tanks, and they're just scattered throughout the house because we got tanks everywhere.
Uh, Scuba Steve. Yes, I was. I was the one with the guide dog, and Posiwi was with me with the wheelchair, motor wheelchair, and her dog. So yes, the two of us were quite the pair. But yes, we were both at Aquashella as well, which I really enjoyed. So what got you interested in the hobby? Was it just going in there and seeing all the different fish, or well, I guess really what got you into shrimp? Because first, I'm assuming first it was fish.
So where I live, we live right next to Wiki Wachee Springs. It's a real famous for their mermaid show, but they have a water park there, and my mom would go and take us there for the summer. And instead of just constantly going up and down the slides, I would take a net and a little bucket and go to the lazy lagoon, and I would see what I couldn't catch in the weeds. And you catch a lot of like gambusia, and I was
Okay.
probably catching Achilles fish back then. I didn't even know what they were. I was calling everything a minnow back then. And oddly enough, you'd catch a ton of ghost shrimp. And in the bucket, as a kid, you'd want to keep everything alive. And throughout the whole day, when you catch stuff in the morning, it kind of the fish would go belly up first from lack of oxygen. And so what I ended up doing was catching as many shrimp as I possibly could, and then trying to beat my personal record every time I go. And like at the time, I'd see all the eggs in their bellies and stuff like that. So I try to catch as many of those and stuff. And they really wouldn't die in the buckets. I'd go to the water and switch out the water every hour or so, so they had fresh top off and oxygen flow. And I didn't know that's what I was doing back then, but I kept them going and alive, and I was just always interested in them, and never kept them in a tank or anything like that. But throughout growing up, I've always been involved with some type of like crayfish adventure or catching shrimp or fishing or doing something. And I was breeding chameleons and stumbled across shrimp on Craigslist. And my dad offered to.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, I know you got it, how you got into the aquariums, but how did you get into shrimp? Because most of the time it's fish first and then shrimp. Although I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess my dad had a and my brother had a tank outside, and I guess we kind of started with fish, but really soon after that, I got into the shrimp. So,
Well, we were breeding chameleons. One of my buddies that I was hanging
oh,
out with had some veiled chameleons, and everybody's partying, playing flip cup, and I'm in the reptile room checking out the chameleons. And
of course.
eventually Shelby asked for one for her birthday, and
Oh,
without hesitation, I was like, yeah. So I got her a Jackson chameleon, and then I was just doing research and found out to give them their best lives, they're kind of expensive. And I was like, there's got to be a loophole around this or something. And what I found was that you could breed them and make money and sell the babies. So we went and got a
cool.
female, and the female got pregnant. And with Jackson chameleons, baby survival rate was really low at the time. This is like 10 years ago, 9 years ago. And so I was like, expected not to do that well. I was going to be happy if I was able to raise like 20%. And in the end, I had 16 babies. They're live birth. So I had 16 live babies. Didn't have to hatch any eggs or anything like that. And out of 16, I had 14 of them survive, and I was able to
That's
sell.
pretty good. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
The
awesome.
the two of
How
them
much
that
did
didn't
they sell
make
for?
it, only like 40 to $100. They're not that expensive.
Okay, that's that's not too bad.
No, but I was able to sell the babies and pay for lights and crickets and stuff like that. And then two led to 46 chameleons before I knew it. And we had anywhere
Okay.
between 30 to 90 eggs in the incubator and
Oh
20
wow.
to 60 little babies that we were raising up and feeding. We were
So you
doing,
so you still have to incubate them? I thought you said they were
yeah.
live.
No,
Okay.
so we started with just the Jackson chameleons, and those are live birth. But then we got into
Okay. Got it.
veileds and panther chameleons, and panther
Got
chameleons.
it. Okay.
That's really what got me into it, because I wanted to get hooked on trying to make something new, a new morph. So I was really into the genetics of chameleons, but I didn't have the patience. You have the chameleons paired up for like 3 days, and then it could take like a month for the female to lay her eggs. And then once the eggs are laid, it's anywhere between 6 and 16 months for the eggs to hatch. So once the eggs hatch, you can't sell anything until 2 months. But then you don't even know what the males are going to look like until they're a year old. So
Oh
just the
wow.
amount of time that it took to get the entire reproduction cycle through and to see your actual work, it was so long. And I stumbled upon shrimp on Craigslist because I was buying and selling a bunch of reptiles on Craigslist at the time, and this guy was always posting this red cherry ad on Craigslist, and he was always sold out. So when my dad offered to sell me his landscape business, I didn't have time to take care of crickets and worms for 2 hours a day. So I sold everything, and I ended up getting some red cherry shrimp off of eBay. And one tank turned into 3 tanks, and then I got some blue velvets. The blue velvets crashed except for one. I crossed the blue velvet with the red rilly, and I got some red rillies. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I crossed the blue velvet with the red cherry, and I got some red rillies. And from
Nice.
there, I was like, oh, I can create this, this, and this. Let's go. And I found out the hard way it's not that easy, but uh, I quickly ended up with like 40 different types, 50 different tanks. And I was like, I can sell my landscape business now and focus on this full time. And I've been doing that for 6 years now, 7 years.
Hello, MLT. Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Hello, MLT. Bateson, welcome. Who else is in here? I think there's some late ones that I didn't get. Richard Reynolds, Snoochie Booch. Who else? I think I saw S, New Local Austin. Hello, Mike. Paul McCarthy. Who else am I missing? Mark. Hello. Let's see. I think that's everybody. Sherry, hello. Let's see. Matt, Kenny, Griffin, hello. Hope you guys are all doing well. Sorry about that. Let's see. I think so. What is? I guess one of the questions that I had there was. So you said that you quickly got. It sounds like you quickly got into breeding shrimp and crossing them. Um, when you start to get or you start to get genetics that you like, how do you decide which ones, what to cull and what to keep, and how to keep up with your shrimp population? Because do you do mainly Neo or Kirdina? Which one do you prefer?
I do it all, man. It's Pokemon. You got to catch them all. So I literally
Okay,
have over 130 different types of shrimp.
I I know you have a lot.
So if there's a type I don't have, trust me, I'm trying to find somebody that breeds it in the United States so I can avoid the import process and get my hands on it. We're setting up 88, not 88, but 80 plus
It's
tanks right
awesome.
now.
Good
And
idea.
whatever I don't have, I will be stocking those tanks with
Wait,
that,
you're
hopefully.
wait. So you're setting up 88? Is that
Yeah, I think I haven't done all the measurements exactly yet. My foot's broken, and we just moved. Like, if you go watch our last tour video that we just did, our
yeah,
entertainment center, the TV with the 2 racks on the side of the TV and the other Husky
yeah?
rack, that's in the middle of my living room right now, set up. Basically, I made a room inside my living room with tanks, and then that
So,
whole
so you
wall,
made like
I'm
a
gonna
so
go
you
five
made like
tiers
a
high with 10-gallon
so you
tanks.
made like a little alcove.
Yeah, so that's going to be my new streaming area. Like, this area right here is all
Nice.
temporary. So
That'll
I'll
be
have
awesome.
in front of the
Hello, Eric.
fireplace area is where we're going to do my streaming, and we'll put some couches there, and then we'll mount the TV on the fireplace so that way we can get more tanks on the wall.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Yeah, I need to get some more. I'm thinking I want to get some more shrimp. I definitely want. I enjoy the shrimp. They're a little bit of a challenge, but they're definitely fun. I
We'll
really
circle back to that, but to answer your question though on the culling and the process, I
yeah
break it down into a couple different groups. One of the main groups is color, but color is real easy to replicate, especially if you're doing like Taiwan bee crosses and stuff like that. Color is super easy to separate after the fact. So I'll usually focus on color last, unless you're doing Neocaridina and it's all solid one color. Then it's just picking the best of the best. But with
okay
Caridina, I usually focus on color last. And then for the main part, it's stripes and dots. So you want the best looking stripes, the most stripes, and decently spaced out, and then the most dots. So if you're going in that direction, you cull all the ones that don't have spots, that don't have nice stripes, etc. And then once you have the pattern down, then I go for color.
okay. But the okay. And so for you, are there any differences that you've noticed with Neos and Caradina
So
besides
referring to
besides
what
of
though?
course
Because there's
parameters?
so what's that?
So
Oh, okay.
besides parameters, like what do you notice that's different, like culling wise, or the what they throw? Do you notice any differences?
It just boils down to the type of shrimp because with Caradina, I can refer Aurora blue tigers to something similar as blue dreams. So it just depends on the shrimp. But for me, if you set up the tanks the right way, the shrimp are just as easy to take care of.
Okay. Well, of course, parameters are different, and so it is a little bit different. But I don't know why. A lot of people seem to say that Caradina are harder than Neos, but I haven't. I want to do Caradina. I need to get into Caradina. I have not quite gotten there yet.
So as long as you set up the water and the tanks the right way, everything I treat for my Caradina is exactly the same for my Neo Caradina, except I let the Neos outside and they get to weather the elements. But the Caradina, same amount of water changes, same feeding schedule,
Okay.
everything like that. Yeah.
So you don't notice that they're any harder or more difficult than the Caradina? Because
The hard
one of
part
the
is the water chemistry, getting the water right. After that, it's piece of cake.
Well, one of the difficulties for me, which is why I don't have as many shrimp as I did, because I really am trying. I started off with Neos, and I want to get back to doing, or I want to do Caradina because my water is so soft that Neos don't do the best in my water.
Well,
Um,
they
so I
they should
definitely,
do they should do all right even in soft water conditions because overseas they breed them in pretty soft water.
they do well. Mine's like 6.5 out of the tap.
That's all right.
And for Neos, they didn't seem to want to breed as much. They
Yeah,
weren't
but
as
how often were you doing water changes and stuff like that? I'll take into consideration.
true. So besides the lizards, what other animals do you have? I know you have.
We got two dogs right now, and then the turtles. We've got
Okay.
7 turtles right now. No, 8 turtles. Sorry.
So one of the questions that I asked Lucas last time, and I'm assuming since you have so many tanks, I'm assuming you don't sell out of all of your tanks. So do you have different tanks for breeding and selling? And if so, how do you organize your fish room?
So I have tanks where I'm just working. I'm sorry. Hold on. I don't know why I'm so scratchy right now. I have tanks where I just breed and sell out of, and then I have tanks that are mainly project tanks, and I'll probably still sell the culls out of those tanks as well. So uh, it's just basically all the focus that I have. Um, it depends on the type of shrimp exactly, but for the most part, we try to keep 2 tanks of everything, so that way, if I do sell out of one tank, I have another tank to back up on. Or if something happens and we have a crash or something like that, I'll have something that I could fall back on.
So when you find something that you like in your shrimp, how do you go about keeping that strain consistent or keeping um, that characteristic in the shrimp?
So every generation, as soon as a shrimp gets to like 1 centimeter in size, I make sure that all the ugly ones are pulled out of the tank.
Okay,
So, so that way they don't have any chance to reproduce. Females generally won't reproduce until they're about 2 centimeters, but males can at around 1 centimeter. So right there, got to yank them out.
got it. So what's your favorite tank size for shrimp?
10 gallons, just because I can breed so many shrimp in a 10 gallon tank, but still I can work on quality more than I can quantity still. So I prefer 10 gallons.
I find they're a little bit easier to catch them at it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. For
The
me, it's a tad bit easier. Although shrimp are a lot easier to catch than fish.
Yeah, for sure. I got two Danios in one of my tanks in the kitchen. I can't catch them to save the life of me. And
They are
the
so
tank
fast.
escaped. The tank escaped, and they go and hide between two rocks, and I'm gonna have to tear it apart if I'm gonna want to catch them.
Yeah, that is definitely a hard part. I feel like sometimes you have to bait them and get them out, but that's easier to do with shrimp than fish. Way
Yeah.
easier to do. Hello, misfit reptiles. Hope you are well. So I know you have some plants. Do you have a favorite plant that you use for them, or how do you when you scape the tank? What are you trying to do when you're like breeding and getting the tank ready? Do you
So
have any differences for the tanks?
So I don't like anything that's going to root itself in the tank that I'm going to have to touch ever. So like I'm okay with putting some crypts in my Neocaridina tanks and just accepting the fact that when the crypt totally takes over the tank, I'll break down the tank, take the crypts out, sell the crypts, and then reset up the Neos in the tank after it's recycled. But
Okay.
for the tanks that I never want to touch or anything like that, a little bit of moss. That way it doesn't attach to the substrate or anything like that, and I can easily trim it up and remove it if I needed. Or a little bit of boost on the wood. I really like boost. It's a real slow grower or Java fern, but those three plants are my go-to for sure. I don't like anything in my substrate for my shrimp tanks.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because even just like being able to remove it easily and catch them out, that is a lot easy. It makes it a lot easier, especially with the shrimp, because they do like to go in there. So for hardscape, then how do you configure it for hardscape? Is there like do you keep rock hides or anything for them?
No,
Having
I don't do any of the nursery little huts or anything like
okay,
that. I'll just throw a little piece of wood in there if I want to get fancy with it. But like none of these tanks, I placed the wood in any kind of order. I just dropped it in the middle,
okay.
put some boost on it, put some moss on it, and just let it do its thing.
So what's your favorite part of the hobby?
Finding
What would be
something
like
new. I have so many tanks, and for me, it's like playing the lottery. Every tank is a different lottery ticket. So every morning I look up and you don't always see the babies right away. Sometimes you'll see them like 2 weeks or to 2 months after they've been
definitely?
born, and you just see something you've never seen before. Like, for instance, I got a blue steel that has a yellow head, but a blue tail. So
Okay,
it's
that's
it's
kind of
pretty
cool.
cool. It's like a one of shrimp that nobody else really has. But like one day I just looked in that tank and bam, something new. And then the next tank over, one day I just get a green steel. So seeing something new that nobody else has ever had before, that's my favorite part of the hobby. That's what got me interested in doing the chameleons. And it just took so long. But with the shrimp, it's only a 30-day reproduction rate where the eggs hatch, and then after that, you almost instantly know if the babies are going to look good on most of the shrimp. So,
Yeah, I mean this well because yeah, for me like they're so tiny but they grow up pretty. I mean they grow pretty fast considering they
yeah.
it's easy to tell, which I kind of like.
Yeah, the
Favorite?
neocaridinas are kind of clear for like the first week or two, but if you got them in nice hot water and they're outside, they show color in 2 weeks easy.
Oh, so you like keeping them outside with?
So at the last aquatic experience in Jersey, I had the uh, opportunity to talk with Skyfish for a little bit, and he's one of the main breeders over in Taiwan. And I asked him, "Hey, man, how do you get your neocaridinas so big?" And he told me you got to breed them outside. It's something to do with the sun.
Huh? That's so, and that's just with neos, not with
So
Caridina.
it might be with caridina, but the caridina can't take the Florida heat. So the ponds outside will get in the 90-degree temperatures. And with caridina, when our house got hit by the hurricane, our power went out for 21 hours, and the temperature in the house went to like high 80, and the tanks got into the 80s, and I had an issue with 5 of my Caradina tanks. So,
Okay.
and it was only because of temperature, because I had the generator running with air bubbles. All my tanks are powered by sponge filters, so I just had all 6 of my Alitas cranked up to a generator.
Oh, that's smart. So you like the diaphragms then? I'm just curious since you said the Alitas. You like the diaphragm pumps better than the linear?
To be honest, I don't know if they're a linear or diaphragm. I just went
Okay.
with the Alitas. That's what somebody recommended. I've got a blower outside, 1/3 horsepower blower. So
Okay. I was just curious because I know that the Alitas are diaphragms. I was wondering if you like those better.
they're just what everybody recommended to me, and I've had some of them for like 7 years. Never had to replace anything. I just clean the filter to them, and they're quieter than the sponge filters. So I just kept buying
So
them.
so what is your what's your favorite shrimp right now? I know that's hard.
Yeah, it's got to be green. Green's my favorite color, so I got some green tigers right now that are looking pretty nice.
Okay. I like the green Babaltis, but they're a little I prefer a little bit more opaque than they're a little bit too translucent for me. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I like the green emeralds. I also have some green emeralds that I've been working on the backline to make like a nice golden backline for the emeralds.
Oh.
And I don't know why I didn't say those first. I switched my answer.
So those are your favorite right now.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot.
You forgot about those ones?
Yeah.
I know it's hard. There's so many different shrimp and they are all so cool.
I just have like 2 of the green tigers with orange eyes, and I can't even get a picture of them right now. So it's killing me, but hopefully soon.
I don't know. I don't know. The orange eyes kind of they. I like the regular ones. They kind of. I don't know about the orange eyes. They kind of freak me out a tad.
They're neat. Some of them are
They,
kind of
they are
yellow.
they,
Some of
they're
them
they're cool, but they're a little bit freaky too. I don't know those those orangish yellow beady eyes.
they're a big hit around Halloween time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So what kind of
Well,
shrimp do you keep, man?
um, Neo. Well, so right now I have Neos. I'd like to do some white, Snow White Caradina. Um, but right now I have blues and uh, blue dreams and fire reds
Are you
at the
breeding
moment.
them, or are you just keeping?
Right now I'm just keeping them. Um, haven't gotten a huge population of them yet, and I really do think that I need to get my water better for them and dial that in, and then I also want to get so I think Caradina will be a lot more helpful with the
Are you
water
going
that
to
I
go the RO? Are you going to go with an RO unit?
probably not.
Then try and stick with some tigers then, because if you don't get all the KH out of the water, if you got 1 KH in there, it could fight the pH of the soil. 6.5 pH is not good enough for a lot of Caradina. You need lower than that.
Okay. Well, so what's your favorite substrate then? I'm
Bright,
curious.
I've been using Brightwell for over 4 years, and some of the tanks are still buffering over 4 years strong. So that's my go-to substrate.
Okay. Cause yeah, I have I don't know, my water's funky, so usually I put it in there. I have like 1 kH and like 2 GH in my water. So my water's like 32 TDS out of the tap, so there's not a ton in it. I've thought about getting an RO unit, but
You
right
wouldn't need a
now,
bit. You wouldn't need a very powerful one. You could do with like an RO buddy for $50. That'll clean your water up.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might get that because I do really want to do some Caradina. The Neos, they don't do quite as well in my water. It's weird.
Eric asked if the orange eyes means
Uh,
that they're blind. I don't think they're blind because when I try to catch them with a net, they jump from me. And I've heard other people say they're blind, but they either got some supersonic movements like bats where they can control where and see exactly where they are by feeling your movements with their whiskers, maybe. But I think they can see you coming.
let's see. I'm trying to see if there are any other. I didn't see any other. Oh, so Scuba Stevo's asked, what fish do best with shrimp?
No fish. If I have to be completely honest, adding fish into the tank is like going to class with your high school bully. I mean, you're just going to be nervous. So just avoid it if possible. Keep them out of the tank. But if you got to have a fish in there, he's going to mess with your breeding one way or another. Um, if your shrimp give birth 10 times a year, throw a fish in there, it'll only give birth maybe 8 or 9 times a year. So if you're going for numbers on your breeding projects, keep the fish out. If you're going for a community tank, it just really boils down to the temperament of the fish itself. Like some betas are fine, and then some betas are going to kill everything in the tank. So you just got to pick and choose. I think auto catfish are a safe one, but they're still going to stress them out. Even pygmy cories, I've had a school of pygmy cories completely stop the breeding of red cherry in the tank. As soon as I caught the cories and removed them out, the next water change I had buried red cherries. So
Really?
yeah.
Huh. That's interesting because I would have thought that the pygmy Corydoras wouldn't be too. Huh.
So the thing is the pygmies they school and they swim in and out of all the little places that the pregnant shrimp like to hide out in. So they're constantly moving them and spooking them and stressing them out.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I can see that happening. I can definitely see that happening. Let's see. I think there were a few. Oh, there were a few more questions that I think I got.
Smoochie asked where do you get Brightwell? Amazon. You get like a 70-pound bag for, or I'm sorry, a 25-pound bag for $70.
25-pound bag for $70.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that'll do like 4 10-gallon tanks.
That's yeah, okay. So how much substrate do you usually have in your tanks then?
1 inch for shrimp or 3 inches if I'm going to do some plants. And then somebody asked about the GH. Shrimp need about 4 GH in order to molt. Anything lower than that, and it's going to be really hard for them. They're going to have some molting issues. You can do the whole survival of the fittest, and maybe some will make it, but 4 GH is the low as I go. I do mostly 6 GH and up for all my shrimp.
So 4 GH for your shrimp and then 0 KH?
That's for Caradina is the 0 KH. For my Neos outside, it's 7 GH and 3 KH.
I think I think buffering, it is like stratum, isn't it? For buffering?
Yeah. But stratum only lasts for about a year. Brightwell will last way longer than stratum. And like the average buffer for stratum is like 6'2" to 6'5". Brightwell's average is 6. So it's down there. You don't have to worry about replacing it right away. And then for remineralizers, check your tap water. If your tap water is good, I strongly recommend using tap water. But salty shrimp GHKH is a great mineralizer for Neos or Tigers if you're going that route.
And then I'm assuming salty shrimp, the Caradina GH plus.
Yeah.
But you would say,
what's up?
Sorry, go on.
That was just your best bang for your buck. The salty shrimp GH plus.
And so what so you said 0 kh?
It's a must for your. So for Caradina, you need the low pH. And the low pH is achieved by adding the aqua soil. The aqua soil is going to bring down your pH, and then you have to have 0 kH. If you have any kH in the water, that is going to fight against the buffering capabilities of your soil. So you might have 1 kH in the water, and your soil might buffer it down, but then you're going to have light cycle and all these other things play into effect. And in the morning, your pH might test pretty low, but then after an 8-hour light cycle, your pH is going to creep, and it just might not be. It might be too high of a swing with KH in your water.
Even one?
Yeah,
Huh.
that's why everybody that breeds Caradina, they all use RO water to get it down to 0, and then they mix the water with just GH minerals, so that way there's no fighting it. And you can have KH in your water, but the substrate is constantly going to be battling it, and it's going to use up the substrate way faster than it would if you had 0 kH. A lot of people make a mistake and cycle with tap water, and what that does is it takes like a whole year off the life of your soil.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. So, I don't know if or I think I asked, but so for setup, how do you decide which tanks to pull from, or how do you when set
Just
how do you just pull
I,
from whichever one, or
For like outside, I have a main tank and a coal tank. So as I'm going through my orders, if I have enough coal sales, I'll bag those up as well. But if I have a net full of shrimp, I go through and I take out all the ugly ones and toss them into a coal tank. So, and then inside is about the same. I'll have a low, medium, and a high grade of just about all the shrimp that you can divvy up into that. But like for tangerine tigers, I have 4 tanks of those that are all the same grade. I don't get any culls out of those. I haven't for years. And then they just, as I sell out of one tank, I move on to the next one. And then by the time I'm all the way back around, the tank I started out with is back to the babies being grown enough that I can sell out of that tank again.
okay? Oh wow. So those breed true then. Those you seem to be able to keep pretty consistent.
Yeah, tangerine tigers, raccoon tigers, super princess bees, a lot of the wild type of shrimp, they just don't need a lot of work.
Okay. So then, what is most demanding for you?
For
Like tap water.
neocardinas would be the Rillies. The Rillies produce so many culls. It's insane. You let one ugly one mate with the others, and then you're just done for with culls all over the tank. So with Caradina, though, the most expensive shrimp are going to be the hardest, and usually that's like the Galaxy Pintos, the most spots, the most stripes, and stuff like that. Those are going to take the most amount of culling and most amount of work. The fancy tigers and stuff like that.
Okay. And so then what does your how often do you call, and what is your maintenance process on your tanks?
So calling really just depends on when I'm working on the tanks. I'll see something, and when I'm feeding, and I'll go get it out. A lot of my culling is done when I do orders. So I sell a lot of shrimp out of certain ponds and tanks and stuff like that, and I'll cull as I go through for orders. My water changes. We have about 10 stations now in the entire house. Some of the stations take me 2 days to do. And what I do is I do one station a day, except for the ones that take me 2 days. And then I move on to the next one. And then after 2 weeks, I'll have 2 days off. Those are usually Mondays where I'm shipping out with Shelby. And then I'll
Okay.
jump right back into it after 2 weeks. So the entire house and outside all gets done every 2 weeks. And we do 40 to 50% water changes.
Okay, so you do 40 to 50% water changes?
Yes, sir.
And you said how often?
Every 2 weeks.
Oh wow, that's even for the Caridina.
Yep.
Because
So they might not need it that much, but I'm also growing a lot of moss. And what I found was the moss do so much better with larger water changes. So I'm having like zero hair algae in almost all my tanks now, where before I was having real issues trying to grow certain types of moss and focus on the nice mosses and stuff like that. And all I was doing was getting hair algae to grow. So I started up in my water changes, and now algae is almost impossible to grow in my tanks. And the shrimp have been breeding, especially through the winter. They breed a little bit more, where some people's their tanks might go stagnant. But even if you live up in Minnesota, if you just try a little bit harder and do your water changes, man, your shrimp will breed all year round.
okay, so then what? When you keep them, what temps do you usually try and keep them at? Because I'm assuming they don't during the winter. Do the neos do quite as well outside or
So,
produce?
man, I can't think of the exact term off the top of my head, but they slow down. Their metabolism slows down in the winter, so they don't eat as much. Therefore, they don't grow as much. They're not breeding as much. But I can go into every single pond and show you buried shrimp. The thing is just the eggs, instead of 20 days to 30 days to hatch, the eggs are taking 30 to 40 days to hatch. And then instead of the babies being a month grown and able to sell them at a 1 centimeter in size, it's taken 2 to 3 months to grow them out during the winter time.
So the
But
production.
the
So
house
the
we keep
production is just.
72 all year round.
So the production is just a little bit slower.
Yeah,
On
just outside for the neos. But then it's the reverse in the summertime, and spring and fall is a little bit average. But in the summertime, I'll get a shrimp uh, eggs to hatch in 20 days, and then after that, the shrimp 1 month old, it's old enough to be sold.
okay. Sorry. So so then for when you're breeding the shrimp, what is your favorite part of the breeding them, and how do you like? Do you take some out? How do you manage your tanks when?
Again, it's just going to be the seeing the babies. That's got to be my
Okay,
favorite part. Even with breeding the turtles, seeing the eggs hatch, that's the greatest experience. But no, the shrimp, they just do their thing. So the eggs that the females are holding, I don't remove the females or put them into breeder boxes. I tried breeder boxes and pairing up the shrimp and stuff like that, and that really didn't work for me. So what I do is I keep like my nicest 2 or 3 males, and then the females that I feel are qualified enough for that tank, and then the babies and everything hatch and grow up, and I just yank them out at 1 centimeter if they need to go. I'll keep like the best 10 out of 100 babies that are born for myself to keep breeding the future stock to make sure that my quality always stays on top, and then I sell the rest.
so what is how many do you usually like when you're first starting a colony? How do you decide what you want to keep? Because I know
So,
that's probably really hard.
like, what kind of shrimp, or like how many shrimp to start with?
Both.
All right, so we recommend getting 1 to 2 shrimp per gallon to start out with. Recommend 10-gallon tanks for those who want to start. So get 10 to 20 shrimp to start out. That way, you end up with a good ratio of male or female. And if you don't, you can pull out the males to make it a good ratio, and you're still going to end up with enough shrimp to start a good colony. So you want to have a good male to female ratio, at least one male to four females. Or otherwise,
Oh
the
wow.
males will gang up on a female if she's ready to breed, and none of the other females are. So you want to try to alleviate any stress by just like guppies. You want to get the males out so they're not nipping at her. And then for quality wise, it's all budget for what kind of shrimp I'm going to go after and stuff like that. I try not to buy the super high end competition grade shrimp, but at the same time, I don't want culls. It's really hard for me to buy shrimp. A lot of people send me culls, but I buy from a couple different sources, and then I select the best ones out of each group, and then that's what I start my breeding group pairs. Like when I first started out breeding the orange neocaridina, I bought 6 bags of 20 shrimp from 6 different people, and out of those 6 bags, I only kept 10 shrimp to start my colony off of.
Wait,
So
how many
it
did you buy?
uh, 6 bags of 20, so 120 shrimp just to get 10 shrimp
Wow.
to start my colony. It's just back then, 6 years ago, orange neos just weren't doing really well out there unless you wanted to go imports, and then you're getting mostly females. So it's just rough.
Wait, you usually get mostly females? Don't you want mostly females when you're starting breeding, though?
So here's the thing with imports. They send you mainly females because they look the best. But then what happens is you don't get any males. So you go to get a project going and you get all females because those are the biggest, the best looking ones. But also females, and the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and they do the worst in shipping. So what happens is a farm will breed the shrimp in Taiwan, and then a wholesaler will come buy the shrimp off of them, bring them to their wholesale facility in Taiwan, and then ship them to a wholesaler here in the United States. And then from there, they'll jump maybe 1 or 2 places before they end up in your tank. And by then, the shrimp has taken so much stress. If she even can breed, uh, it's not going to be that well, not for that long. So I prefer getting a 1 centimeter size juvie because it's going to adapt to your tank and acclimate way faster. And within 2 months, you're still going to have babies. But the long game for that is going to be so much better because the next generation of shrimp are going to be so much stronger, and you're going to have a lot higher of a chance of breeding the shrimp out than you would starting with imports.
So then, for your colonies, how do you like when you're taking out of your tanks? Is there amount you try to sell out, like a ratio, or an amount you try and sell out of one tank?
It just depends on the project. For like my green tigers, I don't sell any of those except for the coals. And right now, for my green tigers, orange eyes, I'm not even going to sell any of the coals. I'm going to keep all of them for myself until I have that project exactly where I want it to be at. So it just really depends on the project. But like I said, I'll try to keep like 10 out of 100 shrimp for myself to breed the
Okay.
next group, and then I'll sell the other 90s. But I'll break it into quality for the most part. So I don't just sell them all for the same price, except for like tangerine tigers. Those will all 90 of them will go for $4 a piece.
So there's not really an amount of
No, because
like
baby survival rate is going to be different in every tank. Like my super princess bees, they're 30 babies every batch of eggs. I don't expect that, but for a lot of my caridina inside that are breeding for a while for me, I can get 25 to 30 eggs out of every clutch to grow up to be selling size. But then 5 of those might be culls, and I might keep 5. So
so there's not like a ratio of how many you like to keep in one given tank.
I'll keep at least 10 breeders. And what I'll do is I'll keep
Oh wow. Okay.
my best two males and then 8 to 10 females. So that way I can keep
Really,
quality.
Vi?
And then I'll
Okay.
go ahead and set up a different tank of different grades and stuff like that.
Okay. And so for grading purposes, is there a certain amount of tanks you usually have for a given um, type of
It
shrimp?
depends on the type of shrimp. For my raccoons, I only have 2 tanks because they only breed the same exact pattern. So if I sell it out of one tank, I got a backup tank to fall back on. But for fancy tigers, I think I have like 10 different tanks of fancy tigers because I got a tank for culls, I got a tank for low reds, low blacks, medium black, medium red, high grade, competition grade, and then they've also produced different type of phenotypes like the super red tie bees, and I even got some purple metallics out of them, and they had the dancing man patterns that you could go for and stuff like that. So depends on the type of shrimp and how much effort you want to put into them, but I at least 2 tanks of everything.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So when you start off breeding them and you get a new colony in, how long does it usually take you to start selling out of the tanks? Because I'm assuming when you first get them, you don't sell out. So when do you decide that you've gotten a good colony started and you can start selling? And about
Uh,
how long does that take?
I'm that guy that my first clutch of babies, I'll get 30 babies, I'll keep 10, sell 20.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
First batch.
And how many do you usually get, or does it depend on?
It depends. It depends on the shrimp, but for the most part, 20 to 30 babies.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey
Joseph.
Joseph. Hope you are well. Hope you're having a good weekend, or had a good weekend. So, and I see your when you have filtration, is it mainly sponge filters or matins, or how do you?
Just the cheap sponge filters, the double powered sponge filters are the ones I use. So I have matte filters and stuff like that, but they're just more cost and not really needed. So I just use what works and don't mess around.
Enjoy, Joseph. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So, what is your favorite food to feed the shrimp?
Right now, I've been using a lot of Shrimp Envy foods. They're from Shrimp Envy out of Oregon. They make their own
Nice.
foods. So I get Shrimp Envy Complete has been my main go-to, but I really am a firm believer in mixing up the foods. So I have like 8 different foods that I rotate throughout the 2 week cycle that I go through.
So, what do you feed, and how often, and what do you usually feed?
I'll feed every other day, and the shrimp food comes in little pellets. And depending on the tank, I'll feed 1 pellet or 3 pellets or a third of a pellet. But I feed as much food as the shrimp can eat within an hour or two. If they don't eat it all within that amount, I'll either remove the food out or skip a few days on feeding them. But then the next time I go to feed, I feed way less.
Okay. And what foods do you feed? Shrimp Envy Complete, and then
Shrimp Envy
that
Complete.
main rotation.
There's a growth food. There's a shell food that they use. I use secret shrimp food from Bipen Shrimp and dwarf shrimp food from him as well. And then I use CSF nettles as well as some barley. I use snowflake. I know I'm missing one, but yeah.
And are there any tannins that you like to use in the tanks, or do you
So
usually not any
I use
tannin?
some Indian almond leaves for this tank because they're imports that I got from Billy Ha Elvis, and they're green rillies, but
Good AGRB.
they were looking a little milky, so I decided to throw in 3 Indian almond leaves into the tank just to add some probiotics and antibacterial factors and antifungal.
So when you get imports, or when you get shrimp in, are there? I'm assuming you is there like a quarantine process or anything you do when getting new shrimp in?
So basically, I treat them like the plague. Uh, Everything that I have in the house gets quarantined. Not quarantined, but dang it, I can't think of the word right now. Disinfected. So I'll throw everything in a little bit of Coral MD, and it cleans everything. So all my nets, all my tools, and everything like that will get cleaned before it goes from one tank to another. All the tanks in the house almost have their own net, so I don't even have to
Oh wow.
clean most of the nets. And then the hose that I use for doing all my water changes, I'll clean that off in between certain tanks and between certain racks and whatnot. But I have a totally different hose that I'll use for those shrimp to make sure that there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, at least for 3 months.
Okay. And what are you looking for when you're keeping them quarantined?
So milky bodies was the first thing, and like two of the shrimp had it. But with really shrimp, sometimes they're not really milky bodies; they're just built that way. So I threw in the Indian almond leaves just as a precaution. The next thing you want to look out for is underneath the belly might have some algae. It's called elo, and that is something that can spread through neos like wildfire. You want to make sure you get that shrimp out of the tank and euthanize it. There are some medicines and stuff like that, but if you don't have those on hand and prepared for it beforehand, and the chances are you're not because you're hoping you buy shrimp from a healthy source. So
Is that
uh,
is that Elo biopsidae?
yeah.
And so for that, you can't really treat that though, right?
So, like Joe's Aqua would use Paragard to treat it, but almost always it's a death sentence for the shrimp. So, I definitely don't want to risk it in any of my tanks. Uh, and if it happened in one of my tanks, I would just basically get rid of the tank altogether. All the filter, the air line, the tank itself, the gravel, I would just throw it away or give it to somebody in the club that maybe bred fish.
Okay. And so what are you looking for when just the milky bodies? What else are you looking for when getting them in?
So I'll look for the milky bodies and the elo before I put them in the tanks. And once they're in the tanks, then I can like look at their noses. They'll see if there's any abnormalities on the nose. There's like little scutalilia. I'm gonna butch anything that's gonna be Latin. So I try to stick with real simple names.
Yeah, I'm
So
not surprised. I do the
uh,
same. I
yeah,
think
I don't
most
even
of us
try.
do.
But it's just those three things really that I'm looking for, and then for Caradina, I want to make sure that they're not having deaths. If they're having a death every day, then you might have a bacterial infection that's not easy to see in the neos with the milky bodies. So, um, and increase, you want to make sure you stay on top of your water changes. When I get new shrimp, I'll do water changes every week instead of every other week.
Okay. And when you get new shrimp in, is there anything else? So you just 3 weeks, or sorry, 3 months, you keep them and observe them?
Yeah, I mean, when I get a shrimp, they get their forever home right away. So it's not like they
Okay.
go into any quarantine process, but I for sure am not going to touch the hose that goes from, this tank over to this tank. I'll go these three tanks first and then this tank, and then I'll disinfect the hose before I go any other way after the 3 months, even. But before 3 months, it's getting a totally different hose than all the rest of the tanks in the house.
Okay. So you just make sure that the hoses are different.
And then I clean my hoses constantly. After every water change, they'll either get soaked in rubbing alcohol or I'll use the Coral MD dip.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay, that makes sense. And so when you're getting the shrimp in, what do I know it depends on shrimp to shrimp, but what are you looking for? And how do you
Like
is it all that easy to sex them usually?
so, when I look for shrimp, I first off I go to look for a breeder as close to me as possible, and one that I trust and I've worked with before. So that way I know that they're not imports, they're homebred. That's the first thing. If I have to get a shrimp that I don't have and the only way to get it is import, I'll go with one of the importers I trust. I've had a lot of issues with some of them, but Billy Haas pretty good. Flip Aquatics is really good. Eric Lucas is really good, but I've had some real bad issues with using some of the other ones. So I'll try to stay away from imports as much as possible. If I could, I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
So I'll find a breeder that I trust. I'll go for their stock. I always buy juveniles, 1 centimeter in size. I don't want adults. And then, you just make sure you take a picture of their colony or get a picture of their colony beforehand to make sure that there's babies of different sizes. So, they are breeding them. And
Okay.
just that the quality is good. You can't expect for like extremely high quality all the time. So I don't do any of the what you see is what you get auctions or anything like that. I'll just buy 10 average juveniles or 20 average juveniles from somebody, and then add that to a 10-gallon tank to breed off. But I don't go and hand select the shrimp or anything like that. I leave it up to the breeders, and when you find a breeder you trust, you get good shrimp off of them.
So then, when you sell off your, or when you sell your shrimp, what size or how old are they usually when you sell your shrimp
So
off?
1 centimeter for the neos in the summer, that can mean they're 1 month old. For Caradina, they're usually around 2 to 3 months old.
Okay, and so when you ship, what is that? How does that? What does that look like?
We use breather bags. So it's a
Oh,
bag full of water with no air in it. We add an entire cup of water, at least to 2 cups of water.
oh
Depends
wow!
on how many bags of shrimp we have for that order and to fit in a box. But if we can, we'll fit as much water as we possibly can. And then we wrap them up in newspapers and make newspaper shrimp burritos. And the entire size of the burrito fits into the box that we ship it out, or several burritos to all stuff the box evenly. But ship them out USPS priority, and they're good in the box for up to 2 weeks almost. And
Okay,
any temperature, as long as they're not sitting on your porch in freezing temps or above 90-degree temperatures in the sun, the shrimp are really hardy. We have less
and
than
so
1% DOA.
do you have like a insulated box you use, or are there?
No, not anymore. Because what I found out is I watched a video going around to the post office, and what it is it goes through the sorting machines, and the box didn't have any wiggle room or any crumple zones for the box to fit through the sorting machine. So what happened was the sorting machine ripped the box wide open. And like my first 2 years of shipping out shrimp, we used styrofoam during the wintertime, and the only 2 or 3 times where I had a box completely destroyed was where I went and used styrofoam. And then after watching that video, I was like, that's got to be it. That's why those boxes were destroyed like that. Because I just can't see somebody
Okay.
tearing apart a box, a human being doing that on purpose. So since I stopped doing that, I have not lost a single box in transit. Like I've had boxes delayed for 2 weeks and um, stuff like that, but I haven't had any pop bags or damaged boxes to the point of no return. So that's just how we do it.
So then, when you ship them, I'm assuming you don't do it during the winter then, or
Oh,
are there?
all year round, no problem.
And you don't use any heat? Do you use a heat pack, or
No,
do
no
you
heat
just?
packs. The shrimp are way hardier than everyone thinks. I got them outside right now in 40-degree temperature in the water. I mean, I don't
Oh
think it's 40, but
wow.
it
Okay.
feels like 40 to me. I get a little wimpy if it drops below 60.
Yeah, I'm not all that surprised. I would be that way too.
I'm born in Hawaii, and then they moved me to Florida, and take me to Michigan for Christmas, and I'll play in the snow for like an hour. But after the snowman's built, I gotta go warm up.
So this is your full time job though, right?
Yeah.
So do you? So how often are you? I'm assuming you're in your tanks a lot. How much maintenance do you usually do a day, or how oft? How long are you in your fish room for, or I guess shrimp room technically?
Well, the whole house has tanks. There's not a tank. I mean, I could go in the bathroom, but I don't spend much time in the bathroom. So, Shelby wants to put a mud skipper tank. We saw your mud skipper, and
I
I think a
love my
mud
mud
skipper tank.
skipper.
She wants to put a mud skipper tank in the bathroom. So,
I think that's a
it's
great
a little
idea.
fun,
I'm
I
all
think.
for it.
So that
Make
that
sure
that
make
might
sure you have
happen,
a lid
but
on it, and yeah, I'm all for it. Get a decent tank. I have a 40, and that's pretty good for two. But yeah, I would get it. That would be awesome. That's yeah. No, they are cool. I really enjoy them. They are
but
so much fun to play with
But I'll
and
do a
watch.
water change every single day except for on Mondays. Mondays we ship out so many packages that I by the time it's 5 o'clock and we've already got the kids and working on homework and stuff like that, I'm done for the day. So I won't do anything. I'll start filling up some trash cans for the next day to do water changes, but I'm not doing anything in the tanks except for catching shrimp on Mondays. But still, it means I'm in the tanks all the time. But I could go to Aquashella and all these other events. I feel like I could leave the house for 2 months and come back and everything would be fine. So I
Okay.
could take a week off or 2 weeks off. When I broke my ankle, I didn't do anything for like 3, 4 weeks. I'll be completely honest. And then I'm just
Okay.
now catching back up into the routine. But Shelby was feeding all the tanks every 2 days for me. It takes her an hour and 40 minutes just to feed the whole house. And that's nothing outside either. So
Wait,
um,
that is or isn't including
that's
outside?
that's nothing outside. So that's just
Wait,
inside
and
the house an hour and
how
40.
many do you have outside?
50 ponds. And I have 30 more I would have set up by now, but my broken ankle. Today's like the first day I put the crutches away and stopped using them. So
Oh wow. Well, thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it. What happened to your ankle?
uh, I went to
You
on
did.
Black Friday. I went to Dick's Sporting Goods to buy myself some new golf clubs, and they were already sold out. So kids wanted a basketball hoop. I bought them a basketball hoop instead. Saturday, I got all my orders out, set up the basketball hoop, and within 45 minutes, I rolled my ankle on the side of the road. It's a 4-inch drop from the road to my neighbor's yard, and
What?
as soon as I landed, I heard a, and I knew right away my ankle was broken. So.
Oh.
But I'm walking now. Today we went to the Chase Animal Sanctuary and played with all the lemurs, and they had some tortoises and some deer and stuff
That's
like
cool.
that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I know you mentioned that you said you had a lot to talk about. What'd you do today?
so we went to the animal sanctuary. They had mainly sloths and lemurs, but they had the tortoises and deer and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
we got a little VIP tour, but they had 6-month-old red lemurs,
I
and
know, right, S?
they open up the cage, and right away the lemurs just jump on you. And I had to change my hat because they completely soaked my Aquashella hat from nibbling and licking my hat. I get that. I guess it was a little salty from me sweating in the hat or something. But I mean, that didn't make sense for the brim up here. They attacked the whole hat. So, but the kids loved it. They had a great time. And I drove home and then had to go meet up with somebody to sell one of our turtles. So we only have one
Oh,
turtle. And it's just sad because they changed the rules. You're no longer allowed to have new ownership of Diamondback terrapins in Florida starting in March. And that means I won't be able to breed them anymore. So it's like the last one of the last terrapins I'm going to sell. I got one more that I might not even sell. I might keep it. I like them too much.
so you're still allowed to sell the ones that you have, or can you not even sell the ones that you have?
Just until March. And then after March,
Okay,
I have to have a Godfather license. And
and you
then you will
don't.
be able to transfer them. Not right now. The law just went into effect. If you try to go on Fish and Wildlife to get the permit, you can't even get it right now. So I'm waiting
So
for a call
before,
back from somebody to get it.
so you hadn't sold any before.
I sold a couple, but they just changed the law on the 15th of December.
But I
So
thought
I
you
had
said
three.
that they already needed to have a permit, or did they not need a permit already?
No, the permit effect just went in. The permit will go into effect in March. They passed the law to give you like 3 months time to get ready for it. So
Okay.
I'm working on getting 2 more turtles because I want some concentrics. It's a
Okay.
bucket list turtle of mine, and if they're going to make it illegal for me, I'm probably not going to move from Florida just because the only other place I want to be is it's illegal to bring everything with me. So I'm not going to risk the wildlife in Hawaii by bringing all this with me. So I'll be probably staying in Florida, and it's just sad. So I want to get my turtles aligned before the law goes into effect, and if I can get my 2 bucket list turtles before that happens, I'll be happy.
Are,
Sad that I can't breed the turtles anymore, but I'll be happy.
I I have a feeling you're probably going to say no, but are you going to the ACA in July?
That's the triple header, right? So it's going
That's
to
the
be the
Triple Crown
ACA, the ALA, and the AKA.
and
We're going to
Inkstunt.
try. We're going to try. We're going to try and do a booth. There's that. There's Aquashella like a week or two after that, or something
So
like that. And
there's
there's another one.
oh the ALA, no ALA.
All
I
right.
think
So this is it. So the Keystone Clash. No, that's the Keystone Clash. I don't know when the triple header is. I don't have that in my calendar. I lied. But the Keystone Clash is the week before AGA, and then that is the week before Aquashella. So we will have 3 shows in 3 weeks.
Wait, are you going to
Um,
all of them?
I'm gonna try.
Oh, that's yeah. So I wanted to go to Dallas and to the Triple Crown, but doesn't make sense for me to go to the Dallas because A, it's gonna be freaking hot, and B, it's like 2 weeks after the ACA Triple Crown, and I need a little bit to rejuvenate. So
So when is ACA?
ACA is on the 27th through the 1st, I think, or
Of what
31st.
month?
July 27th through the 31st.
Then when is Aquashella
The
for
14th.
Dallas? Oh yeah, I see it now.
It's the 14th and 15th. So it's like 2 weeks
No,
later.
Aquashella is the 6th and 7th of August.
Oh, it's the 6th and 7th? Okay, last year it was the 14th and 15th. So it's the 6th and 7th. So that's like the next weekend. So there's no recuperation time.
No, but we did the Aqua Expo in South Florida with ALA, and then the next week we went to Dallas. And
Yeah,
it
I
was really
remember
worth it.
that.
We just need to be prepared and do a table, and the table should pay for our travels and expenses. And I don't do much. I probably won't be able to play much paintball this year, so I'll probably put my paintball funds towards traveling and doing the shows.
You'll put your paintball fund towards?
Yeah, paintball is expensive, man, and I haven't been able to play any paintball since my leg broke, and I don't know how much tournament ball I'll be able to play if my leg doesn't heal right, or
Okay,
if I can even run and move.
so then what hobbies do you have besides shrimp and breeding, which I know is more of a business for you?
Paintball, we go biking a lot and hiking, caving, snorkeling, scuba diving, kayaking.
Are you
We're pretty
certified?
adventurous. Oh yeah, advanced open water and
Oh, I would
search
love to
rescue
get certified.
cavern.
I haven't yet. I want to get certified. I would love to go. I love the water, so I love to get.
I gotta get Shelby scuba certified. I haven't dove since me and Shelby got together, and I gotta get her certified. And then when Jaden's 12, that's when he can get his certification, and we'll get him cracking on that too. So we'll have the whole family dive in and whatnot once Layla's of age.
Oh, that would be awesome. How long is that?
5 more years.
Five.
Surprised I did the math that fast. I'm tired.
That's not too bad.
No.
That I know that's quite a while, but that'll come in no time.
So can I talk about the shrimp contest real quick?
Yes, please. Oh yeah. Yes, please do.
Since we were talking about Aquashella. So next month is Aquashella, the 26th and 27th of February. Me and Shelby are in charge of running the shrimp contest. So anybody who is interested in competing, you very much should, even if you're on the fence about it at all, enter the shrimp. The competition is not as fierce as everybody thinks it is. It is a beginner's competition. It is meant to get people prepared and ready to possibly do the international contest in the future. So we're not going to probably have an international this year just because of travel restrictions with COVID. We want to have it opened up to everybody come in town like they always do, get the judges from overseas and stuff like that. So we're going to focus a lot on the American contest this year. You want to enter as much shrimp as possible because we're doing a little championship playoff where every single contest, you're going to add up your points from each one for each category. And at the end of the year, we will have a America's Best Breeder Championship awarded to the person who scores the best points. We'll do a winner for Neos. We'll also do a Tiger King award as well. So enter as many groups as you can. You can enter 2 groups per category. It's 3 shrimp to 5 shrimp per group. And you want to enter your biggest, best, identical quintuplets or triplets, whatever you want to enter. But the bigger, the better. And as identical they are, and you'll score as much points and you'll do better than what you thought probably. So if you have any questions or anything like that, you can sign up at aquashella.com. It's under the Orlando section. Go to the main stage. Under that, it's under contest, shrimp contest. and it's $25 per entry, but $250 for first place, best of show. And then we got a couple awards for first place in the individual categories as well. So it's a lot of fun. It helps out our hobby. You should see everybody's faces when they show up to this event, and especially the reefers, because they have no idea how much money they're blowing away for color in their tanks, and they could be having some nice shrimp tanks and have all that color with like a fraction of the price and a lot less care. So definitely see some eye drop and mouth drops when they see the beautiful shrimp and how easy it is and whatnot. So that makes it all worth it, setting up all the tanks. It's in our own backyard this year, so we want to make it look nice.
Oh, is it not you? I thought it usually is. Is it not usually?
Last year was the first time in Orlando, but me and Shelby weren't taking care of it. I was entering in the contest, but I won best of
Okay.
show. I scored a perfect 10 out of 10.
Hey,
It's
buddy.
all
How you?
downhill from there. And they came to me and they wanted to do displays. They weren't going to have a contest anymore because they didn't have anybody to run it. And displays doesn't help anybody but myself. I want to help out the hobby, so I step aside from entering in the contest and ran it with Shelby for the last two shows, and we're going to continue to do that this year. And it's
That's
should be a good show.
awesome.
We had 30 entries in Dallas. I want to beat that for this show, and hopefully by the end of the year we have quite some people in the pickings for the playoffs. It would be
I
nice.
I really enjoyed Dallas. There was way too much to do there, but oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
I saw you there. I wish we would have gotten a chance to talk and introduce each other in person,
Yeah.
but
Well, for me, unfortunately, I wasn't really able to see you because I think I was pretty easy to see. I had actually he's out there. I had Fender with me, but for me, finding people it just was so hard. So I wish I got to meet a bunch more people than I actually did. But I mean, there was just so much to do. I was like way too much sensory overload. But hopefully, I'll be able to actually meet you at the ACA. That should be fun.
yeah,
Are you
definitely for sure.
are you going to be there the whole time? I'm hope.
Hopefully, yeah. The thing with Dallas was when we got there, Shelby was driving. We drove 16 hours from Florida to Dallas.
Oh
So
wow.
I drove 4 hours. She drove 4 hours. And when we got there, she woke me up and said, "Hey, we're here." So I take my pillow and I grab it and I moved it from the front seat to the back seat and tore a muscle in my shoulder. And it was, I broke my leg. I didn't even go to the hospital or get it looked at for 2 days. I was like, it's broken. They're going to tell me to stay off of it. There's nothing I can do. When I pulled my shoulder, if I was in Florida, I would have gone to the hospital within the first night because I couldn't get comfortable for 3 days. I couldn't get comfortable. It was in
Was
straight
that at
pain.
Dallas or Florida?
Yeah. No, that was in Dallas. So a lot of people didn't see me on Sunday because by the time I fell asleep Saturday night, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, really Sunday morning. So Shelby just let me sleep in until I had to
Wait, so
come
when did
and
you get there?
like Thursday morning.
Oh, okay.
And I was in pain all the way through Sunday because of my shoulder. So, but
Oh.
I wasn't able to fall asleep until like Sunday morning. So she let me sleep
Oh, so you
until
were so you twisted or did you break it or what?
no,
Your
I just tore a muscle. I just tore a muscle.
so you tore your so you tore the muscle and that was Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like I don't think I saw you there.
I was there, but I was there Saturday most of the day. But they took us out to the bar on Saturday, and
Yeah.
I even tried to drink to numb the pain. That didn't work. Like I don't drink. I drank
Uh
more beer that night than I did the enther year, and it didn't numb the pain at all. So
Got
it
it.
wasn't
I'm
worth it. Yeah.
sorry. That sucks. Yeah, I it was so funny. I think I was talking to Taylor and she's like I think I was talking to Taylor and Joey and she's like, "Yeah, I got carded when I went in." And I'm like, "Really? I've got the guide dog and I just walked right in. I didn't they didn't even ask me cuz otherwise I wouldn't have been, I was worried I wouldn't be able to get in, but I just walked in and they didn't ask me.
How old are you?
20.
Oh, Okay.
I didn't drink anything, so I mean,
Oh, okay. I thought you
I,
did.
I gave away, I gave away my ticket, but it was just funny because I just walked right in, and apparently Taylor's like, "Yeah, I got carded." I'm like, "Really? You got
Oh,
carded?"
they took everyone. They took everyone's card in the beginning. They took everyone's card. Like you had to hand them their card to get in. They carded me, but they carded Joanne in front of me too. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Okay, Bunny Viper, stop it, stop it. Now you're just teasing me. Now I'm gonna have to go find something else to eat, and I just finished. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I thought it was funny because she's like, yeah, I got carded. I'm like, really? I just walked right in. And the odd part is, I had Fender with me, so it wasn't like I was all that hard to find or see. I don't know.
no,
I
I remember seeing you there on Saturday, or maybe even was Sunday, because I was there. I did the live stream for Aquashella for the shrimp contest, and then I had to go tear down my tanks. So
So you did. So you went. Work
yeah,
because
but I slept in most of the day. I didn't get there until like 2 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock I was working the whole time.
okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. I didn't see you there, but then again, I missed a lot of people. I was just I was enjoying it, and B, I don't see very well, so finding people is not easy.
And also I hang out at the shrimp contest. I don't hang out at the YouTuber booth. I had a lot of
Oh
people go to
yeah, and no,
look for me at the YouTuber booth, but I was at the shrimp contest. So
that also makes sense because I think I went there. I went to the shrimp contest once or twice because that was right near Haley's booth, but that's like that was
it was
way
on the
across.
opposite
They were
side.
like
Yeah.
opposite side. That it was big. I walked so much. My feet hurt like 3 days after because it was concrete.
So Global Expo is just like an Aquashella style event, but they do it just for pet stores. But it's everything from dogs, the kangaroos, the squirrels,
Wait,
chickens. There's
kangaroos?
Yeah, like just little stand for marsupials. They have it there,
Okay.
but like I'm telling you, they're as big as Aquashella was. Global has a section just that big for just dog collars.
Wait, did you just say dog collars?
Just dog collars, like 600 tables of dog collars, different companies trying to sell dog collars. So you walk from the the food truck place all the way across the other side of the place. It takes you like 15 minutes just to walk from one end to the other. It's
I need
huge.
like I need like a biker just to like get her. That wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and you can't believe how many people are there, but yeah, you feel your legs are definitely hurting from these shows.
It well for hey Thunder Aquatics. Yeah, for me, I was just like my legs like 2 or 3 days later. I'm like, wow, that concrete just did a number. I was like,
My
I couldn't. I was like so sore after that.
My legs are killing me right now because I walked the whole day. And if you look at a picture of my left leg compared to my right leg is jacked. There's two freaking grapefruits in my calf muscle right now because I've been just hopping on one leg for 6 weeks, and
I can imagine.
my left leg is like a skinny twig. I've never seen legs so skinny. It's crazy. So now that I'm trying to like rehabilitate the muscle, I feel like I walked around Aquashella for 3 days. I really do. My hamstring is killing me.
My yeah, I know the feeling. Well, okay, kind of. I tore my ACL in 2017, so this was like 4 years ago because I was skiing, and I don't see very well. So of course I was coming around a corner. It was wide open. I was coming around a corner, and I was trying to stay on the right side since I don't see very well out of my right side. I figure as long as I'm on the side to the right, hopefully nobody else will be near me, and I'm near the tree, or near the side, so I don't have to worry about anybody else next to me on that side, so I don't hit anybody. And of course, I come around a bend, and there's a snowboarder sitting on the ski slope right when you come around the bend, and I fell, and it was a slow twisting fall. So of course my skis didn't pop off. So that
Yeah.
really hurt. And then they made you use the machine, but I was like, yeah, my thighs were not like, it was a lot worse. It was crazy. Hey
Yeah, I
Garcia,
know. The ACL is definitely a rough one, but
that took a while. Of course, like 2 months later, I couldn't get the surgery done right away because I had to wait for the inflammation to go down,
mm,
and I couldn't go get the surgery done because we were going on a trip. So that also sucked. I'm like,
were you
I
able
was
to walk with it still? It was just in
so you
pain.
so you can walk it just
Yeah.
fine. In a lot of countries, from my understanding, a lot of countries you don't get it repaired, because especially if you have a general health care plan. Um,
Too
other
expensive.
well, if it's a healthcare for all, they don't cover it.
Yeah.
So a lot of places they don't cover getting your ACL repaired. So you can walk on it, you just can't pivot very well.
Oh, I know that some cases you can, just because like I know there's some UFC fighters who have fought with torn ACLs and they just didn't tell anybody until after the fight. Most of the time
You
they use it as an excuse, but there are some rare cases where fighters won fights with torn ACLs.
you can't you can walk, you just can't pivot.
Yeah.
But it was not fun. That took, and then that machine, like that first day, I was screaming bloody murder after like half an hour of using it. But yeah, and apparently the doctor, he worked at Stanford, but he had to draw an X on my leg on with a Sharpie on my leg to make sure he had the right one, because apparently they've done it many times they um where they accidentally do the wrong leg. So
No,
before
yeah.
the surgery, they wrote it with um a Sharpie, and I was like, okay, wow,
No.
that's
Just for my finger, they marked it with a Sharpie and then I had a sign next to it.
oh
So
wait, what?
when I was a kid, I broke my finger and my finger was hanging out like right here on the other side of my pinky. So it,
Yeah.
and yeah, before before they would straighten it out, they marked an X on it, and I had to sign it. I thought it was the dumbest thing. I was like, "How do you get that one wrong?" I could understand like a leg where you can't see something, but yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it happens too often where they have to do it, but to me, I'm just like, really? I
It
don't
would suck
know.
though if
It
you
just,
woke up and you had surgery on the wrong leg. I wouldn't mind the X on it.
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. I just thought it was odd. I'm like, really? You're putting an X on? Okay, whatever. I mean, I guess, but
So we got a question. What is the most common reason that shrimp die? Um,
it's
honestly, it's improper parameters. People will buy the wrong shrimp for the wrong type of tank. A lot of people get crystal shrimp, think that they can keep them on tap water, or they're just not doing water changes. There's that myth out there that shrimp like aged water. The reason why shrimp like aged water is because when you age it, it degasses all the chlorine and chloramines out of it. So those people that were recommending that was just aging the water to degas it. After the water has been degassed, if you use prime in it to get rid of the chlorine right away, they're good to go. So you should stay on top of your water changes and keep up. Shrimp will do a lot better with pristine, clean water, and that's not really the common knowledge.
so then when you use RO water, you don't have to use Prime though, do you?
No, no, the RO system will take out the chlorine.
So
But
then is
for
it
the shrimp outside, I use shrimp prep or prime.
wait, what?
So for outside, I use tap water. So I'll use a dechlorinator. Brightwell sells shrimp prep, or I'll use
Oh,
Prime if I don't have any shrimp prep. I'll run to Petco and price match some Prime.
what's the difference?
Seachem is one brand, and Brightwell is the
Well,
other.
so I'm sorry. I mean, are there shrimp prep? Is there any?
All it is just a dechlorinator that Brightwell
Okay,
sells. Yeah.
okay. I was just wondering if there was anything different from that, but it's just
No.
okay. Got it. Yeah, I do like the setup behind you. How many tanks
Well,
are on that one?
16.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's four of them up there, and then there's four down below here also.
And those are all tens?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you've got a rack of four. I
And
have
then
mine.
there's
Yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say there's 7 tanks on top of the refrigerator. This is the refrigerator.
Wait, what? You have 7 on top of the refrigerator?
Yeah. And the Alita.
And what? And the
And
Alita?
the Alita pump that runs all these tanks. So
So you don't notice that the Alita is too loud then?
nah. Can you hear it right now?
No.
Yeah. If you can hear anything, it's probably my bubbles. So
Well, yeah, that's that. Most of the time, that's what it is. I hear the bubbles quite. They can be quite loud, especially the brine trip when the lid's on top.
and correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat, if you could help me out. The webcam actually looks pretty good. I did with Detroit Aquatics, and I think the lighting was wrong. And my live stream was so grainy, and this webcam doesn't even look like I need to go ahead and upgrade it. So
No, it looks pretty good. I don't know why. I have 2 webcams that I bought for this computer, and whenever I try to plug in my second one or do anything, it I get kicked off of the stream because my USB hub or I have a Mac, so my USB hub is always very finicky because for some reason everybody uses USB C and I need USB 3.0, so I can't show it. But the lighting is really weird. Like this is a little bit more warm than it should be. I don't know,
but
but yeah,
yeah,
no, yours
just
seems
getting a
fine.
little light. No, I think it was just the lighting. I didn't have the light before. I got the light in front of me now. So
All right, so Ian's asking if you have a link for that, or what it's called. Do you have one pump for 16 tanks? Which,
So the Alita, maybe Shelby can post the link for it, but I got it at kensfish.com, I
yeah,
believe.
what is it called?
Alita.
Oh, it's just the Lita. Is there?
Yeah. I have a 40, I have a 60, I have an 80, I have 100, I have a couple of each. The 15 will run 15 tanks easy. It's just loud. I don't know why the smaller ones are just kind of a little bit louder, but when you bump up to the 40, it's super quiet. There is a silencer though that you can put on the smaller ones, the 6, the 10, and the 15. But I was too lazy. I never went and got it.
And from what I've heard, it it sounds like it. You just have the maintenance is only changing out the diaphragm every year or so.
I haven't changed the diaphragm on mine, and they've been running for 5 years at least.
Oh, okay.
All There's a little tiny screw on the top of the filter or the pump, and it has a little air filter. And as long as you blow that out every couple months, the pump stays relatively clean and maintenance free.
That's awesome. I know zip about shrimp. Shrimp. But I saw Papa Shrimp's Galaxy fish bones and fell madly in love. Yeah, some of the shrimp can be wild. I personally like the pure colors, but yeah, they some of them are wild. So I think one question here, but I didn't get to ask it. I don't know, and I don't know if he's still in here. But Mark asked, "What rack shelving do you like the most, and why?"
Well, I prefer to build my own. I really like the setup that I have behind me. And if you go
Okay.
check out the channel, I built a rack and Layla's room where I don't have to cut the length of the 2x4s, and it fits 9 tanks, and I go 4 rows high. So
Oh,
36 tanks, and it uses a minimum amount of wood. I've got one of the racks that I built in Jaden's room, and I did it like 7 years ago or something like that now. And it's just a nice sturdy tank stand, and it's effective. Um, but the Husky racks or the Gladiator racks, those are cool. But whatever reason, every time I see one up for over a year, there's a little bit of sag to it. Every single one. So even with I have an inch and a half plywood on mine, or an inch and a quarter. I can't remember what it is, and I still had sagging. So I originally had 20-gallon talls on it. I got rid of the 20-gallon talls for 10 gallons. And you can't fit a perfect amount of 10 gallons on it. You're always going to lose room. So for that reason, I always prefer to build your own racks. So that way you can maximize your space.
yeah, I would love to. I convinced my dad in like October, which wasn't the best timing because wood was getting it kind of expensive. But I convinced him to do that. I'm still trying to convince him to make a rack right here for a few other tanks because I would like to be able to maximize that space a little bit more. So, how
Well,
much
that's
space do you?
go ahead.
What? No, what
No,
were
no,
you
no,
gonna
go
say?
ahead.
So, how much room do you like to? Because I noticed that they're, I guess, vertical when they go in. Um, they go widthwise in front, but how much room width do you like to?
This is the magic space right here. Just enough room so the solo cup could go in. So that way, if I needed to get any water or something like that, you don't have to pour the solo cup or make anything out. So 6 inches,
Is
I
that
think,
how you
is the
measure?
gap.
Is that how you
Not
measure?
exactly, but I wanted to make sure that I could fit a cup in there in case I needed to get water out or something like that. I'm really
Okay,
against cross contamination. So like especially with the greens up here, if I needed to take some water out in a jiffy or test some water, I'll put it in the cup before I do anything else.
okay, and so for because I know you don't like to cross contaminate. So what do you like to use to I know you kind of mentioned it, but what do you use to sterilize everything when you're going
So
in and out of tanks?
so Brightwell sells this Coral MD. It's a dip for dipping your corals in salt water for when you buy new
Okay,
corals, so that none of the parasites or hitchhikers that you don't want on the corals make it into your tank.
and
Uh,
that
it's a
works
fi-
for both.
so it's a 15-minute dip for corals, and in 15 minutes it doesn't start to kill the corals. After 15 minutes, you start to kill everything. So I just soak everything in that coral dip for 30 minutes to an hour, and everything's nuked. And then I wash it off with a little bit of tap water, and it's good to go.
And you don't use that for the shrimp though, right? When you, I thought you said
No,
you.
it's just
What do you use when your shrimp have, or when you quarantine your shrimp if they have anything? What do you
uh,
use to treat those?
some Indian almond leaves, extra water changes, and then
Okay.
there's Brightwell sells this vitamin supplement for shrimp. I might add some of that and some black water extract, but uh, maybe some guava leaves. But there isn't much you can do.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. I know I took up a little bit more of your time. Thank you so much.
No, you're
Uh,
good, man. Time flies when you're having good conversations,
I
so I
know.
don't
I
mind it.
didn't. Thank
Like I
you
said,
so
I was
much.
doing
I
math
really
and I was
appreciate it.
surprised about how fast I did it in my head because of how tired I am. We were up until like 2 o'clock last night doing water changes on moving the
Oh
racks. So
wow.
yeah,
Well,
in another day or two, I'll probably post a short of what the living room looks like because it's completely different if you saw the last tour video.
wasn't your tour video not? You just did one like wasn't it like a week or two ago?
2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but I wanted to get that done because I knew everything's going to be completely different as soon as I started moving things. So I think at the end of every year, I'll do a tour video to show how the house looks like, and then like I like to
Update
do
videos.
all of my hard work during the wintertime because then it's not so cold outside. I can cut wood and
Oh
sand and
yeah,
paint
because
and
you're
all
in
that
Florida.
stuff.
Yeah,
So
I keep on forgetting you're in Florida, so that does make sense.
yeah, the leg is killing me.
Usually
Like
that's
there's
when you
30.
want to stay inside.
Yeah, like there's 30 ponds outside that I would have set up by now if my leg wasn't broken. So and I would have had the rack done, but I
My
can only
journey.
go as fast as Shelby can help me out, and she works a full-time job managing West Marine. So she's quite busy, and then she's a full-time mother too. So we got other priorities, and got to take care of what we can. I wanted to go do the aqua escape, had a build down in South Florida at Blake's Animal Ranch. Shelby was going to get that for me for my birthday, and I ended up breaking my leg. So I didn't think that was the best thing to do just because of how far we are behind on our own projects. So,
Ah, so just curious. Any other projects or things you're gonna be doing to the fish room coming up?
so as soon as the rack for the 80 plus tanks is done, I'm building a rack for 40 to 70 tanks in the middle of the living room. And then all of the metal racks I'm going to tear down and redo. So
Oh
everything will
wow!
be all these wooden racks. So a lot of the tanks just need to be redone with new substrate and stuff like that, anyways. So when I build this new rack, I'll move some of my old tanks onto it that are still
No
like
problem.
only a year old or something like that. And then we'll start adding up and do more stuff. Shelby wants to do Achilles fish and all other different types of projects. I want to turn the hot tub into a waterfall wetland filter. Um,
Wait, what? What was
so
that? You
our,
want to turn the jacuzzi? What?
the hot tub overflows into the pool, and we were using it to grow guppy grass. And last year, it grew more hair algae than it did guppy grass. So I think I'm going to get rid of the hot tub as a grow bed and turn it into a wetland filter and disguise it as a big old waterfall.
Cool. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I want. Okay, I definitely need to check it out. To see. Oh, um, yeah, I definitely need to look at that. I will be looking out for that video because that's awesome.
That's going to be like the longest project that I probably take, and it might not even get done this year. It's a dream project of mine, but it's not one of the things that has to get done. But like that's one of the things I want to get done. The 30 ponds on the side of the house that needs to get done before the end of February. So I got a possible couple people coming to the house before Aquashella. So I want to make things look nice before they get here. So everything that I can
Oh,
get done will
okay.
get done before then.
I was gonna say why February because they're coming
Yeah.
over. Okay, yeah, that will be awesome. That's so cool. So you've still got some space in there to move around stuff. I know you've got a lot in there.
Yeah, we've been thinking about doing more storage underneath the beds and stuff like that, less dressers, so we have more room for more tanks in the bedroom. You never know.
Always. Yeah, I know. Everybody's always giving me grief because I have all my stuff underneath the bed, and I'm like, but it's so much easier. Like I don't have too many racks, so just shoving everything under my bed so that it's out of the way is makes it so much easier.
Yeah,
I
maximize the space to the fullest, man. That's what you got to do.
I know I don't like to, and it's not fun, but I'm like, which I actually tore that top tank down. But I'm like, it's so much easier. Like I don't want to have three tanks, one on the bottom and one all the way up there. But to maximize space, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it just to make sure. Because I'm like, would I rather have one more tank up there? Or, yeah, I might not do quite as many water change on that one than I would other ones. But yeah, I'll do it. Thank you so much for coming.
No problem.
Everybody.
I try to get shrimp over here. I don't know if you see my dog, but he's deaf and I can't yell at him. He won't look at me, so I can signal him over. I'm gonna throw a shoe at him. Hold on. He'll look at me after I throw the shoe at him. Come here, boy.
Oh.
He's a big old goofball. He's 140 pounds. He's
Oh.
going to shake the whole
What kind
table.
what kind of dog is he?
Dogos Argentinos,
Okay. How old?
5 years. I bred him.
Oh.
I bred him myself. Him and his sister.
Oh. I hear him knocking into something. At first, I thought
That's
somebody.
his tail. His
I,
sister. She got jealous. She came over too.
I
But
figured it was. I figured it was the tail. Whenever I'm upstairs, we have a small hallway, and I always hear their tails go thwap 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 on the side, and I'm always like, oh gosh, I
can you hear
know.
him
So
growling?
what?
Can you hear him growling? He's purring, but he doesn't know
I
what he
hear.
sounds like. So
Oh,
when you pet him, I
cute.
got these big wannabe gangster friends and stuff like that, and he's petting the dog. And man, why is your dog growling at me? Man, he's just purring. Don't worry.
He's enjoying it.
Yeah,
That's a purr of pleasure, not growling at you.
right.
Oh, he's cute. Yeah. Oh. Well,
But
thank you for coming. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's already been an hour and 46 minutes, but thank you so much.
oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having us. And
Oh, that's even, oh, that's a better, oh,
not on the face though. I had lemurs licking me in the nose today. I did not need that. It was too
that's
far.
great.
They I didn't know they were going to go that far. And then the lady's like, oh, yeah, they'll do that. I was like, kept the mouth closed. I didn't know I needed to block the nostrils. So, but
Good luck
yeah,
with that, Jeremy.
I made sure he stayed away from me because now you guys can probably tell my shirt is covered in white. So,
Yeah. I've got 2 labs. I never wear black, but of course, everything always seems to come in black. And I'm like, okay, well, I really want them, so we'll do.
well, they're worth it. Thea, come here. No, Thea's not going to make a presence.
Oh.
Thea. Nope, she won't let me even pick her up.
Oh. Liquid Juices, it was worth your time, Grant. I'm gonna be ordering from you really soon. Yeah, that's so cool. I need to get some stuff. I've been enjoying
It was
it,
worth my
but
time. I enjoyed coming out and hanging out with you. My leg has been broken and I haven't been able to do much. And before my leg, I really didn't watch any YouTube channels. So I've been kind of like popping in and watching some of your streams that you've been having with other
I
people. So
saw
it's been
that.
keeping me
Thank you.
occupied. So I'm just returning the favor. Maybe somebody else is just not that mobile as I am and bored. And hopefully this cheered up their night or day, or maybe they're watching it later.
Black, and I've got yellow labs, so I always look like a fuzzy dog, and my parents are always telling me that my hair has it all over, and I'm like, well, can't really do anything about that, Black. I can do something about my shirt, but yeah. Um, I usually only wear them when I'm going to fish stuff or I am on the stream because otherwise I just look like a fuzzy dog. I used
Can
to
you even
have
tell this is a flower horn?
yeah.
It's hard to see,
Oh wow.
but I never wear the shirt, so I thought I'd wear it for your stream. I never wear the hat
Thank
either.
you. Yeah, how it's black with the dogs. It doesn't get all furry.
We had a black dog too, so it didn't matter what color
Oh,
shirt we wear. We were walking out of the house, but Coco passed away last year, so I don't have that problem anymore. I wish I did
yeah.
though.
That was one. I'm sorry for your loss. That does suck. They're like best friends, and they don't talk back, so that's even better. But
Oh, Coco talked back. My dog Coco,
right,
she'd get
that's
mad at
really
you. She'd start going hubba hubba. It would be funny as fuck.
Uh, yeah. She'll give me two. She will definitely give me two, but they don't talk too much. But my grandma is somewhat afraid of black dogs. She's been fine with these two, but she's definitely more afraid of black labs or black dogs. And I already had Kelly, and when I got Kelly, I have my mom's favorite team is the Giants, and half my wardrobe and my brother's wardrobes were Giant shirts, and they're black. And so literally when I got Kelly, I had to get rid of half my wardrobe. So my one request when I got Fender was he has to be he can't be a black dog. I prefer not to have a black dog because otherwise that would be so hard. Oh, nice Aqua Garden. But yeah, I just was like,
You end up wearing a lot of gray. That way, the black and the white doesn't matter.
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that I mean, even then it shows up, but what can you do? I embrace it. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm sorry, Dad. Sorry, Mom. I sleep with them. I'm with them all. I can't do anything about it. Sorry. Uh, well, thank you for coming. Everybody, please go over there and check out his channel. All of the links are in the description and they're pinned here. So go check them out. And thank you so much for coming, Grant. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. We'll have to do it again sometime, maybe on my channel. I got to figure out a time to stream on my channel, and then me and Shelby will commit to it and start doing it every week. But
I
I just got to figure
swear,
out a time where it works for both of us.
I swear, that is one thing that is very difficult. In the beginning, I did one at 10 my time because I knew I'd be at home, which is like 1 a.m. But that for most people on the East Coast, which is always fun. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
get like
I'm
10
asleep by
people in.
then.
So I get like 10 people in there, and then I do it now at like 7 my time, which is like 10 East Coast time, and I do it 5 and which is like 8
Yeah.
East Coast time. And so for me, I'm always like doing something. So I'm usually in the car doing it, but it works. So as long as I'm not driving and I'm just sitting in the back, it works. So, whatever works for me. I try and keep a consistent schedule either way, but life gets in the way. But yeah, I mean, there's so many people going too that it's hard to find a time. So
Yeah, I don't want to step on any
thank you.
toes, but I'll figure out something.
And I can't wait for you to start streaming. That'll be fun. I'll definitely check that out. I have your notification pinged, and I made sure it was still on. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Shelby's editing a video. I think all she has left to do is the thumbnail, and then we'll post our next video tomorrow. So
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, and everybody else for coming in. Oh, what is because you don't watch them that much, which it's really hard to be able to do it a lot, but Buddy Viper says Aqua Gardens and thanks for subscribing twice. I don't know whether she's serious or not. I don't know. But thank you all. I appreciate it for coming. Thank you, Grant. I don't want to take I keep on saying it. I've been trying to get off for like the last 15 minutes. Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody, or have a great night. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Bye, everyone.
have a good